Will Brooks from Spectrami in the UK, joined by Gerald from Peer Software today. Welcome to Spectrami.
Thanks, Will, for having me.
Before we get too involved, can you just tell us a little bit about who Peer Software are?
Yeah, sure. So we've been around for over 25 years now. So we've been founded in 1993 in the US. So we do have offices in the US at our global headquarters, and we have 3 offices in EMEA, a couple in Germany and 1 in London. So I'm based in our London office.
Yeah, and what do Peer Software do for those who've not come across you before?
So we specialize in real-time file data replication in multi-site, multi-vendor, multi-cloud environments.
Yeah, and you're obviously by your name, you're a software company.
Exactly,
Yeah.
software only.
Excellent. Okay. So previously I've worked with your colleague John Reeves, and we've done some videos around exactly what Peer Software does and how it works and some of the benefits and the features. But today I'd like to talk to you about technology partners and some of the use cases of how it fits and supports other technology vendors.
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay. So if I sort of run through some of the partners that you work with, people on the list like Citrix, your Citrix Ready partner, Nutanix, in the sort of hyperconverged space, and they've got lots of different products in their set, but Nutanix Files particularly I know that you work well with. NetApp, you do collaboration with NetApp. Microsoft is obviously a big partner, and
That's
AWS. Right. So should we start by talking about Microsoft? Obviously they're one of the biggest vendors in the world, and lots of people got Microsoft in their environment. Where do you fit in a Microsoft space?
So we do have a long-lasting relationship with Microsoft, working directly with them, and also as we obviously integrate into Microsoft Windows environment. We do have big customers. For instance, we previously talked about big healthcare NHS customer that we have in UK, where they actually have full Microsoft environment with a lot of Windows file servers scattered around, so they have over a couple hundred file servers.
And that's like in a branch office deployment scenario where you've got remote sites and they've got a file server on premise.
Yeah, exactly. They have a couple hundred remote sites. They utilize Peer between over 100 GPU units, each having their own Windows file server and a data center with Windows file server as well.
Okay, so tell me that's an interesting story, and we've actually done a lightboard video of that to talk about that particular use case in the NHS. But let's talk about that in a bit more detail, explore that a little bit more, explain to the people watching this video what it did, how it worked.
So that particular trust, they had a issue with doctors working on their local file data as well as project data. So especially if the doctor starts his day in one GP unit in the morning, and then in the afternoon he wants to go and work from different GP unit. They didn't have a local access to their file data, so they had to access that remotely, and obviously with the connection issues they had, that was causing a lot of issues for them.
And in rural communities, a doctor will quite often work from 2 or 3 surgeries. They'll be going from one village to another village, or
Exactly.
back into a town, so
Yeah.
big problem for that.
Yeah, exactly, and that's where Peer Software came in. So they reached out to us, and we implemented our solution in the whole environment by initiating Peer Software agents on each of the Windows file servers, as well as the data center, using our Peer GFS solution, and replicated the data in real time between the GP units. So every time a doctor went from one GP unit in the morning to the other GP unit in the daytime, he had his local file data accessible to him locally wherever he was. So he didn't have to rely on a connectivity to connect to his previous GP unit.
And something that I'm very aware of, having spoken to you in depth about this before, is there was no additional infrastructure needed for that customer. So it wasn't like the customer having to buy additional hardware to put on each site or in branch offices, or wasn't that a massive investment in hardware back in the data center. It was using existing infrastructure, and it's just installing Peer Software at the endpoints.
That's exactly
and
what
the
it is.
endpoints, it's not even the desktops. You don't install anything on the desktop.
Yeah.
It's just on the file servers.
Yeah, and that's where the original challenge was for them. They couldn't find anything that could work in the environment that was quite outdated with connectivity issues and obviously all the file servers. And that's where Peer Software came in with a software-only solution, just initiating agents between the GP units.
So a great solution for NHS, but just as applicable to anybody in the commercial space who's got branch offices.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as long as a customer has branch office, they do have they do want to have a local access to their data without having to VPN in or access the data remotely. That's where Peer Software comes in. We have hundreds of customers in UK alone, some bigger, some smaller, definitely.
And in that scenario, we're talking about branch offices and connecting back in maybe to a data centre, and people need access from different locations. Are there bandwidth requirements there, or I'm guessing that most doctor surgeries have got quite small, slow speed connections?
Yeah, exactly. And for Peer Software, we can actually work on whatever link is available for us, which could be really slow link. But because the way we replicate data in real time to the delta level, we can actually utilize the links to the fullest potential by just moving the changes of the file as it happens.
Excellent.